Welcome to our channel, your ultimate destination for exploring meditation and inner mental strength. I'm thrilled to accompany you on a journey to uncover the incredible power of the mind and achieve inner peace. In today's video, we'll be diving deep into the only way to truly see into the spirit realm. Gaining spiritual insight can unlock new levels of awareness, helping you understand energies and forces that go beyond the physical world. This knowledge is key to navigating life with clarity and purpose. Our channel is committed to bringing you inspiring talks and practical techniques that will empower you to develop this vision and connect more deeply with the spiritual world. By mastering these skills, you can enhance your self-awareness, protect your energy, and live a life filled with meaning and balance. If you're ready for profound insights and practical tools to elevate your spiritual journey, hit that subscribe button and join us. Together, we'll explore new dimensions of inner strength and spiritual awareness. Thank you for visiting our channel. I look forward to seeing you in our upcoming videos, where we'll continue to grow and strengthen our inner selves together. The speaker addresses someone in the audience, referring to them as the poet, and shares a vision they received. They mention that the devil has attempted to cause stagnation in the poet's life, hindering them from writing what they are meant to. The speaker envisions a setting where the poet performs their work in front of an audience, accompanied by someone playing guitar, and encourages them to start selling tickets, assuring them that a small beginning can grow into something significant if they trust God. Then, the speaker transitions to discussing how individuals can actively engage with the spiritual realm. They emphasize that many people miss God's presence because they seek spectacular experiences, such as open visions or visible angels, instead of recognizing the gradual progression in spiritual development. They explain that the highest levels of spiritual engagement might involve experiences like translocational visions, where one loses awareness of their physical body. The speaker stresses that the journey into the spirit begins with the mind. They reference Romans 8, highlighting that those who live in the flesh set their minds on the flesh, while those in the spirit set their minds on the spirit. The clarity of this principle is essential for seeing visions and engaging with the spirit realm. The speaker shares a personal anecdote about creating a ramp in their garden as a child, illustrating the idea of preparation and intention in pursuing spiritual experiences. The speaker recounts a personal experience from their childhood, describing how, while attempting to jump a ramp on their BMX bike, they fell face first into stinging nettles. They illustrate the moment when they pushed their hands out to catch themselves, only to end up with their hands covered in nettles. They ask the audience if they were able to visualize this scenario in their minds, prompting reflections on how mental imagery relates to spiritual perception. They explain that just as the audience was able to see the scene in their minds, this ability to visualize is crucial for seeing in the spiritual realm. The speaker acknowledges that while prophets may eventually achieve higher levels of spiritual vision, it all begins with a sanctified imagination and a focused mind. They reference Colossians 3, emphasizing that to seek the things above, one must set their mind on those things. To further illustrate their point, the speaker cites Daniel 4:10, noting that visions originate in the mind. They highlight that while many desire spectacular experiences, such as open visions, the prophetic often starts with spiritual perception as God communicates through the individual's mind. The speaker critiques the use of dream dictionaries, arguing that the interpretation of symbols varies based on personal experiences and emotions, using examples like dogs and wolves to explain how the meaning of symbols can change depending on one's feelings toward them. The speaker explains that when God communicates, he speaks in a way that resonates with individual experiences and perceptions. For instance, they reference the biblical story where Pharaoh sees 5 fat cows and 5 lean cows, while a baker envisions bread on his head, illustrating that God uses the language of each person's understanding. The speaker emphasizes that when angels appear, they may not have traditional features. Instead, they might take on forms that reflect one's interests, like wearing modern sneakers or resembling characters from favorite movies. During a recent prophecy session, the speaker recalls laying hands on someone and asking God for revelation. They mentioned seeing a young girl named Ayanu, whose name means miracle. When they called out the name, the girl reacted with surprise, explaining that no one knew that name. This highlighted how God communicates through personal history and familiarity. The speaker uses Bumblebee from Transformers as an analogy for prophetic communication. Just as Bumblebee uses snippets of songs to express himself, God conveys messages through fragments of knowledge and past experiences. They reflect on how individuals recognize Jesus in ways that align with their own perceptions, noting how Mary mistook him for a gardener after his resurrection, and how the disciples called him a stranger on the road to Emmaus. The speaker emphasizes that God reveals himself in a manner consistent with one's current understanding. They mention the example of God asking Jeremiah what he saw, to which Jeremiah responded with a vision of an almond tree blossoming in winter. The speaker suggests that such visions may not seem spectacular, but are significant in God's communication. They imply that dismissing these images as mere daydreams could lead one to miss the deeper meanings and insights God is trying to convey. The speaker emphasizes that God asks, "What do you see?" rather than requesting specific names or numbers. In the case of Jeremiah, he sees an almond tree blossoming in winter, to which God responds that he has seen well and will hasten his word to perform it. The speaker points out that people often dismiss their visions as nonsense because they struggle to find context for what they are seeing. They reference Miriam's criticism of Moses, highlighting that God said she should have been afraid to speak against him. The speaker explains that when a prophet is among them, God communicates in visions and puzzles, but Moses, being faithful, received clear communication from God. They stress that faithfulness in stewarding the current level of prophetic insight is crucial for receiving deeper revelations. The speaker shares a story of someone who kept seeing a broom banging against a washing machine during a prayer session. Initially confused, they persisted and eventually learned that the image connected to the woman's traumatic childhood experience of being locked in a room where the sound of the broom had terrified her. This illustrates that even seemingly trivial visions can hold significant meaning. The speaker explains that the first level of seeing angels might involve recognizing them in familiar forms. For instance, angels might appear in white or take on the appearance of figures from movies or personal experiences. They suggest that many people may encounter Jesus in dreams or visions without realizing it, interpreting such encounters through familiar imagery rather than recognizing the true nature of their experience. The speaker explains that Jesus, during the Transfiguration, appeared in a form that was unrecognizable to his disciples, emphasizing that transfigured means a complete change in appearance. They note that there is no real difference between imagination and vision. Everything seen is true, whether it originates from the demonic or divine realm. While sharing an experience of prophesying, the speaker recalls mentioning someone's name and providing specific details, only to receive no immediate response. The next day, however, they received confirmation that the details were accurate. This led them to question whether they were making things up, highlighting that misinterpretation often occurs when one lacks a deep relationship with God. The speaker uses examples from biblical figures, like Pharaoh and Nebuchadnezzar, who struggled to understand their dreams due to their lack of relationship with God. They stress that confusing revelations are invitations to deepen one's relationship with God, to grasp the meaning behind them. The speaker also references John 20, where Mary Magdalene discovers the stone rolled away from the tomb. They describe this as a first level of prophetic insight, noting that some people see a small detail and rush to share it without understanding its significance. For many, the prophetic can simply serve as a form of affirmation, boosting self-esteem when God speaks in their direction. The speaker describes how Mary Magdalene, while it was still dark, saw that the stone had been rolled away from the tomb. In her excitement, she ran to tell Simon Peter and the other disciple whom Jesus loved, interpreting what she saw as the Lord having been taken from the tomb. This led to confusion among the disciples, prompting Peter and the other disciple to run to the tomb. Interestingly, the other disciple outran Peter, highlighting some immature competition between them. When they arrived, the speaker points out that while Mary saw the stone rolled away, the other disciple looked in, emphasizing that there's a deeper dimension to vision beyond just seeing. The speaker illustrates this by imagining praying for someone named Karen and trying to discern whether there's someone in her circle named Peter. They express the confusion that arises when multiple impressions come to mind, suggesting that one should not merely see but also look deeper into the situation. The speaker contrasts seeing with looking in, advocating for a more intuitive approach to understanding what is being revealed. As the narrative continues, they note that while the first disciple saw the empty tomb and the second saw the linen cloth lying there, the latter hesitated and did not enter the tomb. The speaker stresses that looking in is an important step. It's about probing further into the vision. Ultimately, the other disciple eventually goes into the tomb, while Simon Peter follows after him. This progression illustrates the different levels of vision and understanding in the prophetic experience. The speaker emphasizes that one must do more than just see or look in. They need to enter into the dimension of what they are seeing. They reference how the disciples saw the linen cloth and the handkerchief that had been around Jesus' head, noting that the handkerchief was not lying with the linen cloth, but was folded in its place. This detail is significant because, in Hebraic custom, if someone was satisfied with their meal, they would leave their cloth laid down. If they were especially pleased and intended to return, they would fold it. This act signified that Jesus was happy with his time there and would be coming back soon. The speaker outlines 3 dimensions of the prophetic experience, illustrating that during prayer or meetings, one might initially see many flashes of visions. However, it's essential to look deeper into those visions as a deliberate act of the Spirit. They underline that the spirit of the prophet is subject to the prophet, meaning it requires intention and effort. God expects individuals to actively seek and have visions rather than waiting passively for them to be given.